investigation, but I did indicate that the witness was going to provide additional documentation, and some of it does deal with topics that we've already covered. So we just want to address those topics, and when necessary to refer the commissioners to the relevant supporting documentation in support of her statements in her affidavit. The first, Chair, is regarding an issue that Ms. Ramsamy wants to clarify, which relates to the meeting of 22 January 2025, where the first meeting regarding Operation Diversion was discussed. And there was certain references to the National Commissioner not to inform the National Commissioner about the investigation, and in order for the National Commissioner to somehow be caught in a lie, and this was linked to the Portfolio Committee on Policing. And Ms. Ramsamy just wants to give some clarification on what it is that she's saying regarding that aspect, and also that her evidence is not that anyone within the parliamentary committee was complicit in some plan to catch the National Commissioner into lying to the Portfolio Committee. What she seeks to show the commissioners is that this is a discussion that was held within IDAC. It was, as far as she's aware, discussions that were exclusively amongst IDAC members. It may have been that some parliamentary members, Committee on Policing members, were involved in that, but she doesn't have evidence of that. She also wants to deal with the timeline to demonstrate or to just show the commissioners that when meetings were held regarding Mr. Ian Cameron specifically and certain information that he was going to give IDAC, the very next day his statement is filed and prepared by Mr. Brian Pariachi, who commissions the affidavit as well. So she just wants to put the facts before the commissioners, and whatever conclusions are drawn from that, she doesn't draw conclusions, but the timing of it is significant given that there is this discussion about catching the commissioner in a lie. There's discussion about minutes of meetings, and then Mr. Ian Cameron signs or submits an affidavit, commissions an affidavit on the 9th of April, where he refers to minutes of meetings and he refers to the National Commissioner having misled the parliamentary committee. That's really all that she wants to bring to the fore. And I want to assist her with that because of the documentation that she'll be referring to, and that we can deal with it methodically so that the picture can be fully put out. Because I think when she was dealing with it, she was talking about it within the context of the 2022 January meeting. She didn't really follow through on the thread of that specific topic, so she wants to deal with it now. Mr. Ramsamy, for that, can we go to, the first thing is about the meeting of 22 January 2025 and the ID initiating that meeting. We initially didn't have the email from the ID calling on that meeting. We do now have that, Chair, and that should be at file 10, page 419. I think it's called file 10-2. Yes, file 10, part 2. Page 419. Ms. Ramsamy, do you have the email?
Yes, I do.
And this is an email on the 16th of January 2025 at 8:51 from Advocate Johnson to, she copies herself, she sends it to herself, Mr. Perumal, Mr. Sesoko, Mr. Rapesu, and you, and she CCs her PA, I think it is Ms.
Correct.
Inno, who you refer to as Inno. Now, the subject is diversion. When is the reference to a meeting that's to be held on Wednesday, January 22nd, from 12 till 2:30 at the SARS Boardroom 2.2. Can you read the message?
Dear colleagues, I want a full briefing. Who did what? Who have you seen? What are you dealing with? Kindly prepare a presentation and make sure my office receives it no later than Monday, the 20th.
Okay, and so that is the meeting that gets called on the 22nd. We know that Mr. Perumal submits a draft presentation, which we've been through. You also work on that presentation at the prosecutorial input.
Correct.
And submit that to Advocate Johnson and Mr. Sesoko on the 19th of January in preparation for that meeting.
Correct.
Now, insofar as whether Advocate Johnson had any input on that presentation, do you know whether she did?
She did. Advocate Johnson, at the presentation on the 22nd, I had printed a version, her edited version of the presentation with her input and her additions and subtractions, and had given us hard copies, whereas Mr. Perumal and myself had submitted soft copies via email.
Okay, so Advocate Johnson worked off the version that you gave her, and did she send it to the team or just presented hard copies on the day?
She presented hard copies on the day.
Okay. Commissioners, we have been given a copy of that well, actually the original with Advocate Johnson's manuscript additions made onto the version that she gave the members on the day. So she was aware of what was contained in the presentation before the presentation started on the 22nd of January.
Correct.
Okay. Now, you then testified about what happened in that meeting, and specifically in reference to file 11, page 5, which is a note by you about the National Commissioner, file 11, page 5, which is the handwritten notes.
Yes, Advocate Johnson made specific made a specific statement saying...
Can we just get to it first then?
File 11 page?
Page 5. And that is the note. Your evidence was that during that meeting, Advocate Johnson then said, we're not going to tell the National Commissioner about the investigation so that he can be caught in a lie should he appear before the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Policing.
Correct.
Okay. Now you later...
And this is your note. Is it her note?
No, I'm writing down what Advocate Johnson is saying in the meeting.
Thank you.
We'll come back to the reference to the IGI again later. But then later in your evidence, you also testified that there was a discussion between you and Mr. Perumal, and you said somewhere in February or March, where he mentioned that the National Commissioner will be appearing before the Portfolio Committee soon, and he'll commit perjury, or something to that effect.
Something to that effect, correct. It would have been either the 9th of February or the 28th of March. It was one of those two conversations. But in my recollection, I think it was closer towards April. So it would have been around the 28th of March, where the conversation was, he's going to lie and it's going to be a perjury charge at the Portfolio Committee, him being NASCOM.
And just to be clear, that was a discussion not with Advocate Johnson, it was with you and Mr. Perumal.
Correct.
Okay. Commissioners, there is a reference to that evidence that the witness gave on the 5th of August on page 119 of the transcript, which I just had a look at. And what she says is, it's in response to Advocate Baloy's question about, before you leave your note at page 5, did Advocate Johnson say why the National Commissioner should be left to lie? What was the plan, the idea behind let him go lie to Parliament, and then what? And then Ms. Ramsamy says, like I said in Statement 1, Commissioners, it looked and obviously became evident that there was a line of march, and that line of march was to get General Khumalo and General Masemola in an accused box. And so obviously, at some point, there was talk about if he lies at Portfolio Committee, and this was again well after. I think this is the February or March, and this was just between Yusei Pariachi and myself and Mr. Perumal, where if he lies, we can at least charge him for perjury. So the clarification that I want from you is that Advocate Johnson didn't mention anything about the Commissioner being charged on perjury in January 22, at the 22 January meeting. The perjury issue arose in the conversation that you had later on with Mr. Perumal.
Correct.
Okay.
Advocate Johnson's words were, "Don't tell him, let him go lie." That was...
Morning.
Morning.
Can I just
Commissioner.
clarify something? For the plan to work, they must have known what the National Commissioner was going to be asked, or what was going to be discussed with the National Commissioner at the ad hoc. And they must have known that if he gives a certain answer, it will be untruthful and could lead to adverse consequences. I mean, how did all that work? I mean, how did they know that he will go there and he will be asked a certain question, and if he gives a particular answer, it will be a lie? How would they have known that? Because this is January 2025. It's very early in the year.
Commissioner, I also had those questions, and I did earlier, I think it was on my evidence on the 29th of July, where I said that Advocate Johnson, Mr. Perumal, and Mr. Padiachi would speak in undertones. They would understand what the other person is saying, and the rest of us were left to catch up. So when I analyzed the January conversation or statement by Advocate Johnson, and then the later conversation with Mr. Perumal, and then the consultation or the meeting that took place between myself, Mr. Perumal, and Mr. Padiachi on the 8th of April. I then put through the link that there was communication between IDAC and the Portfolio Committee, or certain members of the Portfolio Committee. I'm not saying that I have concrete proof. I'm saying that it's the inference that I drew.
Now, can we go then to file 11, page 16? And perhaps if we start at page 13, because this will show us that this was the meeting at Fire and Ice. On page 13, 2025/4/8, and it's D, B, and me, which is Mr. Perumal, Mr. Pariachi, and you.
Correct.
Okay, and there's various discussions about the operation, but if we can go to page 16, you will see there's another note on there's a page 16, it says Ian Cameron, and then it says minutes.
Correct.
Okay, and do you recall what you were recording there insofar as minutes and Mr. Cameron?
If I had been given detail, I would have written it down as per the remainder from page 13. It's very clear I was writing pretty much everything down. It was a brief passing conversation that said they were seeing Ian Cameron to get the minutes. And this was on the 8th of April. If anything more was said, I would have noted it down, but that was basically what was said.
And those minutes, would those have been minutes of the Portfolio Committee meeting?
I later found out that it was the minutes of the Portfolio Committee as per the Mr. Cameron's statement on the 9th of April.
And they didn't say why they got the minutes of that meeting from, or they would be getting that minutes, the minutes of those meetings?
At this point, Commissioners and Chair, I was distrusted. I was not kept in the loop. And I explained that at this point, they only gave me, there's a saying, you keep a mushroom in the dark and feed it. So it's basically, they were using me to enroll the Lushaba matter, and that was the purpose. And I read the WhatsApps on last week, where on the 5th of April, Mr. Perumal called me to say that this is an urgent meeting, it has to take place. And that is why I drove to Fire and Ice to have the meeting with him. So it's a possibility that they didn't even want me to know about this. It just happened, and it came out.
And when you were asked about the meeting, or to attend a meeting on the 5th of April, the Portfolio Committee meeting had taken place on the 2nd of April.
I did Google
2025.
last week after testifying. Yes, it did take place on the 2nd of April.
If we can go to file 7, which is Mr. Cameron's statement at 2820. Page 2820. And while we're getting to that statement, do you know why Mr. Cameron prepared this statement as the A6?
No, I do not. I also found it unnecessary and irrelevant.
Do you know for which matter it was, for which case?
If memory serves, it was in the, it was for the purposes of the Mokwele matter and for the arrest of what they call Madondo matter. So yes, the appointments.
Relating
and the
to
vetting.
crime intelligence appointments.
Correct, and the vetting of those persons appointed.
Can I just ask, do you know from those minutes whether the Mokwele, the vetting issues were discussed in that portfolio committee meeting?
As the
Because when you look at paragraph 10, he ventures that he believes they have lied, or that
Yes,
they've lied. So do you know if there was such a discussion?
To date, the prosecutors have not received those minutes.
Oh,
If I can refer you to paragraph 5 of the statement at 2820, that's where he mentions that as chairperson, I convened a portfolio committee meeting on Wednesday, 2025-0402, which would be 2 April 2025, online with members of the committee, senior managers from the Office of the Minister of Police and senior management of the SAPS, led by General S.F. Masemola. And then on the next page, 2821, paragraph 6, for ease of reference, I attach here to the audio recording, video recording, and minutes of the said meeting, which includes replies to questions posed by committee members and the replies thereto by SAP's senior management. Then, so he does say that he's attaching the video recording and minutes, but you say you haven't seen those minutes and you haven't seen a report.
The investigators, Mr. Padiachi and Mr. Perumal, have not provided it to us.
Okay, and you don't know if he did in fact provide it. I mean, it's referenced in his statement, but we don't know if he actually did provide it.
No, I cannot confirm that he provided it.
We know Mr. Padiachi took the statement in Cape Town on the 9th, so he would have presumably given it to him if he did. If it was provided, or it would be annexed to the statement.
It should have been where it says paragraph 6, I annex here too. It should have been marked as an annexure too. And generally it would have been either in a sealed envelope or in an exhibit bag for it to be annexed to a statement.
Can I just ask a process issue? When IDEC receives documents, such as a statement and annexures and any other document, is there not a system of recording what has been received and from whom?
In all other projects, yes, there is a system in place. In all the other projects I've worked on, except for these two that I'm discussing, there is a system in place.
Thank you.
And then at paragraph 7, Mr. Cameron says, there have been several media press releases and on social digital platforms where allegations of corruption within the Crime Intelligence Division have surfaced. The committee was therefore focused on addressing some of these allegations, as will be evident from the minutes. So again, there's a reference to the minutes. We know in your note on the 8th of April, there's a discussion about minutes from Mr. Ian Cameron.
Correct.
But we don't know whether those minutes were actually provided by him. But we do know that on the 8th, before the statement is made or commissioned, Mr. Perumal is referring to Ian Cameron and minutes.
Correct.
Okay. Now, at paragraph 8, he says some committee members were not satisfied with the SAP's management responses. However, in the absence of factual evidence, I intervened and closed the agenda point and moved to the next item on the agenda. And at paragraph 10, he says, I suspect the senior management of the SAPs, led by General Masemola, misled the portfolio committee in answer to several questions posed to them. To confirm exactly where the committee was misled, it will be prudent for the committee's recording of the meeting to be compared with the evidence available in the relevant crime intelligence files. Do you know what crime intelligence files he is referring to?
I would, my understanding of that would be the dockets that IDAC was in possession of and investigating.
But when you say dockets, are you referring to Mr. Adams' dockets, or are you referring to the contents in that dockets that contain crime intelligence files? What are you referring
to? The contents.
Okay. But you...
But why only